Okay. Welcome, everybody. Good evening to everyone watching us from Toronto and North America.
Hi, magandang umaga po. Magandang umaga naman mula dito sa Pilipinas. Good morning, everybody. We're joining from Pasig City, Manila. How about you, Nastasia? Where are you right now?
Thank you very much, Seth. So normally I am based in Toronto, but actually today I'm visiting my parents. So I'm just a little bit north of the city in the Kawartha Lakes region. But I'm so happy that we have tonight about to kick off the videos that were in the waiting room. Man, I can't wait not to visit the Philippines again the next time. We want to take a moment. Yeah. We want to take a moment to welcome everyone to tonight's series. This is Mga Kwentong Pagkain, Filipino Food Online Cook-Along, presented by the Mama Sita Foundation in partnership with the Philippine Consulate in Toronto. We are your hosts. I'm Nastasia Ali. I'm the host of a podcast called Exploring Filipino Kitchens.
And I am Cecil Gamad. You can call me Cez. I'm with the Mama Sita Foundation and have been promoting for some time now the Mga Kwentong Pagkain. So I'm very glad that finally it has reached Canada and many parts of the world. So thank you for this opportunity.
Amazing. So we want to share a little bit about this program, but first we want to thank the folks that have made this event possible. Mga Kwentong Pagkain, Filipino Food Online Cook-Along is also supported tonight by Centro Rizal and our partner organizations, Anderson College, B2Bpreneur, the Filipino-Canadian Association of Vaughan, the Filipino-Canadian Students Association, the Markham Federation of Filipino-Canadians, the Scarborough, Ontario Seniors Association, and supporting organizations Pinoy Licious and Pueblo Science. We want to welcome everyone to the first of these 3 online classes for this really exciting series. And yeah, we want to start by asking, where are you joining us from? If you could post this in the chat. This is always the fun part of these types of classes, kind of seeing where everybody is joining us from tonight. Yeah, so I know Cess is joining us from
Pasig. See where everybody is from. I can see Vancouver, of course. We're expecting a lot of participants from Canada.
Yeah, galing. Ang dami na. Okay, so we have some folks from Toronto, from Winnipeg, someone from Honolulu, Hawaii.
From Honolulu. Okay, I can see Mr. Wendell Ishii. Hello, my favorite participant from the webinar, from the previous webinar.
Glad to have you with us again.
Kamusta po kayong lahat? Thank you very much for joining. I believe, Nastasia, that you grew up here in the Philippines also before you moved to Toronto. So at what age did you move there?
Yeah, so I moved here when I was 19. So I grew up and I grew up in Manila. I miss the food the most. And that's really why I'm also really excited to learn about the different food traditions and the cultures of the Philippines tonight. And yeah, really excited to learn about their rice for this evening session.
Yes. Yeah. Rice is life. I grew up in Bulacan, but I'm not sure if anyone is joining from Bulacan. So kung meron po dyan taga Bulacan, hello, kaway-kaway.
Meron po.
Oy, may kumakaway. Is there someone from Bulacan?
Meron po, from Balagtas, Bulacan. Sabi po ni Ms. G. Reyes.
Hello, ako po ay from Giginto, Bulacan. Thank you. Yes, may nahagip na taga Bulacan. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm wearing an apron and I'm going to demonstrate champorado later, but I am not a chef. So, but I learned cooking from my mom. So yeah, I wish she was watching right now, but I didn't invite her. I didn't want her to see me. Anyway, so, okay. Before we proceed with our program, I just want to share what Mga Kwentong Pagkain is all about. So Mga Kwentong Pagkain is, it started as a food story contest about 10 years ago. So we would ask the participants, well, there was no Facebook yet, or it wasn't as popular as now. So we would send out snail mails to everybody, to schools, to different universities, and ask them, hey, share with us your food stories. And then we gathered a lot. We were surprised to gather many stories. And so since then, yearly we would hold, a small contest and, um, feature this little known food stories from the different regions. And you'd be surprised at how diverse the food stories are. And when we're here in Manila or in Luzon, you tend to just know, say, palabok or pancit or adobo, but there's so much more to learn about Filipino food. So just glad that Mga Kwento Pagkain has been um, featuring this little known food stories and bringing it to more people, and now that it's being shared with the world. So that's Mga Kwentong Pagkain.
Yeah, I'm really excited with even just the fact that we get to share it with so many people in Canada today. Our food culture is really so rich. And honestly, Filipino people always have a great story to tell about the foods and the dishes we love. We never run out of these stories. And
True.
yeah, earlier this year, I joined Mga Kwentong Pagkain Evolution of Philippine Cuisine. So that was the series before this one. And that was a collaboration between the Mama Sita Foundation and Dr. Pia Arboleda from the University of Hawaii and their Philippine Culture Program. So that's how I was introduced to this amazing program that allows us to hear some of these stories from different cultures and regions of the Philippines around food. And before we begin again, let's learn a little bit more about the Mama Sita Foundation. And we'd like to introduce Mrs. Clara Lapus to help us welcome everyone.
His Excellency Ambassador Rodolfo Dia Robles, Conjen Orontes Castro, Consul Mary Grace Villamayor, our partner Filipino-Canadian associations, chefs, restaurateurs, and friends. 39 years ago, my mother, Teresita Mama Sita Reyes, came to Toronto to promote Philippine food products. It is heartening to see that the Bayanihan spirit that we experienced then is still very much alive, as evidenced by your warm support for this endeavor. Maraming salamat po. We marvel at the ingenious ways the Filipino cooking tradition has been kept alive by home cooks, chefs, and restaurateurs across the Pacific. It is because of this that our cuisine has attracted a wider audience. Food was always Mama Sita's way of bringing people joyfully together for understanding. Her table and beyond, she never tired of sharing food stories, celebrating and learning more about our foodways. Mama Sita's Mga Kwentong Pagkain is a continuation of this legacy. We thank the generous sharing of knowledge from distinguished members of the Academy, culinary historians, and Filipino food crusaders who have enriched this narrative, spotlighting tangible and edible examples of our heritage, such as heirloom rice from the rice terraces and more. A warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Lapus. This event is also made possible through our partnership with the Philippine Consulate in Toronto. And with that, we would like to welcome Consul General Orontes V. Castro for the introduction of our guest of honor.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Thank you very much, Ms. Natasha, mga kababayan, esteemed guests, Filipino community leaders, our partner organizations, the Mama Sita Foundation personnel, colleagues in the Philippine Foreign Service, and our viewers from around the world. I'm honored to introduce to you a man of excellent academic and professional achievements. Among his excellent achievements are as follows. First place in the 1967 Philippine Bar Examinations after graduating with high honors with a Master of Laws from the Harvard University, founder and senior partner of a law firm, co-founded and became among the youngest law dean of the biggest law school in the Philippines today, among the youngest elected delegate to the 1971 Philippine Constitutional Convention, author of the Ombudsman and the Miranda Doctrine in the 1972 Philippine Constitution. Because of excellent achievements in the field of law, he was one of the awardees of the prestigious 10 Outstanding Young Men, or TOYM, by the Philippine JCs. In 1980, he established and led a very successful business venture. Last year, he presented his credentials to the Governor General of Canada as Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Philippines to Canada. I know you are all eager to meet and hear from our guest of honor tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Ambassador Rodolfo Robles for his remarks.
First of all, Ron, thank you very much. You have been very kind in introducing me always. But anyway, may I formally mention or recognize some personalities. To begin with, Philippine Consul General Ron Castro of Toronto, Philippine Consul General Maria Andrelita Austria of Vancouver, and of course, our very own Miss Clara Reyes Lapus, President of Mama Sita Foundation. Also, I would like to recognize Honorable Malaya Marcelino, member of the Legislative Assembly of the Province of Manitoba. And friends, mga kababayan, good evening and good morning. I am really delighted to join you for the opening of the 3-part series, Mga Kwentong Pagkain, Filipino Food Cook-Along. We feel very proud to be part of this novel project, bringing to the Canadian stage the unique sensibilities and perspectives of Filipino cuisine while introducing Canada to the best of Filipino food. And this is no ordinary stage, as the new normal now gives us a digital medium that is highly visible and accessible as it engages the viewers in real time. But to those who will access the program through our official social media accounts, you can do it at your leisure. There is a saying that we are the sum of all our parts. That is how we also view the promotion of Philippine culture. In our undertaking of cultural diplomacy, we present its Philippine cultural gift to be celebrated with others as a joyful part of ourselves. I take this opportunity to convey my personal appreciation to Mama Sita Foundation and the Filipino organizations that have partnered with the Philippine Consulate General in Toronto to make this new Philippine food adventure possible. We hope that this combination of technology and culture will happily deepen the encounter between Filipino food and the Filipino people newly encountering our culinary flavors and our history. It will set Philippine food closer for discernment and discovery, an encounter that will indeed linger in their minds and in their palates for some time. It will also bring Filipino food apart from other international culinary offerings. I am hopeful that this program will promote continuing dialogue and a better understanding of the Philippines and its people, as well as serve as the foundation for the receptive and vibrant relations among ourselves and our friends. It is an honor and duty to share with the rest of the world our Filipino culinary heritage. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you very much to our guest of honor, Your Excellency Ambassador Rodolfo D. Robles of the Philippine Embassy in Canada. Maraming salamat po for sharing your message. And I guess personally too, as someone who spent a good amount of time here in Canada talking with a lot of younger Filipinos who have mostly grown up here, that message to really connect with our heritage and our culture and identity through food is so strong. So I'm very happy to be part of this as well and sharing this with everyone tonight. Thank you very much. So with that, this evening and our messages from our sponsors and our guests of honor, we want to welcome everyone again to the cook-along for tonight. And I'm not sure also if everybody here has attended a cook-along in the past. So we want to just give you some information about what's going to happen tonight. So for those of you who are joining an online cook-along for the first time, what's going to happen is that Cess will be preparing her own pot of champorado. It's going to be live on the air. We're going to be cooking it as we go through the program tonight. And then while it's cooking, we're also going to be watching some really great videos about rice and cacao, which are really the main ingredients for champorado, which is this very unique Filipino dish. By the way, actually, we want to ask, has everybody in the room had champorado before? For those of you who have had champorado, can you share in the chat?
Raise your hand.
Or raise your hand?
Okay, so most are Filipinos.
That's good.
Is there anyone who hasn't tried champorado before? Wala.
No? Okay, I think there's some people in the chat that they may not have tried it before. If you don't remember what champorado is, that's okay. That's what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna teach everyone how to cook champorado so that you can make it at home yourself also. So exciting. I know I'm already really excited about learning all these things about Philippine cuisine and culture. I know some people in the chat were also saying they're thrilled to be a part of this, and it's interesting and informative. And learning from two of the experts that was mentioned at the start of this video, Miss Feliz Prudente Santa Maria and Dr. Fernando Jalcita. They're very respected in the Philippine food studies world. So we're very thrilled and honored to be learning from some of their work today for this evening. Let's get the cook-along started. So for those of you who are planning to cook champorado live with us today, you can start to get your ingredients and some of your cooking equipment ready. And actually, we want to ask, is there anybody here who's also planning to cook along live with us tonight? If you are, can you please drop a note in the chat so that we also...
In their kitchens. Can you give a wave if you're joining from your kitchens?
Oh, we have some people in the chat. They're saying, yeah.
Yay.
Amazing.
That's cool. So I've been looking at the registration list last night to see where people are joining from. And I didn't see their locations. But judging on the names, most are Filipinos. Am I right? And then, but we have some non-Filipinos also. But I believe we have children also joining. Can I see the hands of the children? Children who are, say, 12 and below, not the children at heart.
Oh, I see one hand. Oh, I see a few. Yay. Okay, so it looks like we have some younger members of our audience tonight. going to join us in cooking.
So I'm really not here to teach you how to cook champorado because most of you, I think, have experienced champorado in your life. So, but we are going to cook together, hopefully, for those who are in their kitchens right now and ready to cook along with us. So just for the little kids who haven't tried champorado, or for those who have missed champorado for a long time, champorado is this intense chocolatey porridge or pudding. But what sets it apart is that unlike other chocolate pudding, it's a flavor because it's made from uh, cacao tablea, and it has a more gritty texture, and the flavors it's deeper than compared to when you use chocolate bar. So that's the traditional champrado. But I understand not all of you have access right now to tablea or pure cacao. So you can use the alternative ingredients. We sent an email to you for the alternative recipe. So anyway, but we'll get to that in a bit. Meanwhile, just to show you the how to cook champorado, we prepared a short video just in case the champorado in this kitchen doesn't cook well by the end of the session. No, kidding. So in that video, we used balatinao heirloom rice. So why heirloom rice? So for centuries, I'm not sure if many of you know this already, but we have small family farmers in the Cordilleras where, well, the famous Cordillera rice terraces have been growing these varieties of heirloom rice. And they are treasured not just for their flavor, texture, and aroma, but for their nutritional value as well. And most importantly, they're called heirloom because these varieties of grains have been passed on for generations. So the Balatino variety is this. Can you focus on the rice grains, please? So these heirloom grains have been part of our country's cultural heritage. So we at Mama Sita Foundation launched this heirloom grains project, which is why we have this heirloom rice champorado kit, which is right now on limited availability, but hopefully soon we'll be able to bring them to the world with more support from you guys. So this is the Balatino variety. You see it's dark. And it's amazing how it will cook later. The it still retains its bran. But then, since this is naturally glutinous, it will cook just like your regular champorado that's thick and creamy, but with a with the color and the texture of balatinao, it's going to have an added nutty texture, fruity nutty texture. So that's the beauty of the heirloom rice, having these different colors, and those colors are indications of nutrition. So these are the varieties that we currently have: Omino from Ifugao and Mount Province, and then Kalinga Jekot from Kalinga, and then we have Balatinao and Minaangan. But then there are many more heirloom rice varieties. So feel free to explore what the Cordilleras have. Not much is written on the internet about these heirloom rice, which is why we're helping to promote these heirloom grains. Now, since they have these covering the brand still intact for most of the grains, it's helpful to soak them first before cooking. So may I know what kind of rice you were able to get for those who are cooking? Can I get a show of hands for those who are cooking? Sana hindi lang ako yung
Or in
magluluto.
the chat.
How
May,
many are cooking tonight?
I think we had some
Okay,
people
so I
earlier
have
saying
here, can you focus on the champrado? Okay, sorry. I have here a soaked rice. So I soaked it last night. And so now it's clean and ready to be cooked. So we're just going to put these grains in the pot. It helps to soak the grains, especially this heirloom rice varieties, because they're tougher and they need more water. So the soaking will help the grains bloom or pop, because that's the sign that they're cooked already. And then we put 3 cups of water. It's very important that your pot is just the right size, because if it's too small, when it boils, it's going to create a mess. So there's our rice and water. And then, so in the kit, in the heirloom champorado kit, we have the right proportion of sugar and tableas already. Can I see in the chat? Actually, it would help if those who are cooking unmute themselves, so I can hear what's going on with you. So I'm going to pour now the tableas. I think there's about, no, I can't count, sorry. Okay, so I mixed in the tableas and the sugar already. And then all we need to do is really very simple. Just stir this and wait for this to cook, and occasionally stir it just to make sure it doesn't stick at the bottom of the pot. And I hope the pot that you're using is heavy bottom, because since this is slow cooking, if your pot has a thin bottom, it will burn quickly, I should say. Okay. So that's it, Nastasia. The rest of the time, we're just going to talk, magkwentuhan.
yeah.
So wait, I didn't hear anybody unmute who are
Yes.
cooking. Can I see who are cooking today?
Yeah, so if there's
What
anybody
kind
in
of
the
chocolate were you
audience,
able to get?
for those of you who are cooking along with us live
What
tonight,
chocolate
can you
lagi?
either unmute yourselves and let us know
Please don't
yeah,
be
how
shy
it's
and
going?
show your. We're in this together.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a cook along if I'm the only one going to show my cooking here.
As
we
I was
encourage
saying,
everybody to turn on your videos, please. So we know what's going on in your pot. There, yay! I can see someone already stirring their champorado.
yay.
Okay, so at first I put the heat on high so that it boils a little bit quickly, and then once it simmers, I will turn it down. So that's just it. Okay, now while our champorado is cooking, so it's going to be a little while. Let's see what the other alternatives are. Nastasia, in Toronto, what kind of rice can you get?
Yeah, so I was saying earlier when the camera was kind of looking down at the different kinds of rice, the heirloom rice varieties that you have. I can't wait for a chance to try it because I'm very interested to try the different varieties that are kind of nutty and have that very unique flavor. Um, for me here in Toronto, it's kind of difficult. It's not difficult to find rice because you can buy it everywhere. But those special kinds of those special varieties are a little more difficult to find. For me, in the past, when I've cooked champorado, I use glutinous rice
How
because
did you
that.
get this? When? Why? You
What was
can
that,
tell
sir?
cake? You have your
Okay.
cake?
Hi,
Oh,
please identify yourself.
Was that somebody who was showing us their champorado? I see a few people with the cameras in their kitchen. So if that's some of you, you can unmute yourself. Let us know how the cooking is going.
So these are the types of rice. So definitely you can use white rice, which I think is the most accessible type of rice. But then just to show you a closer look, that's the uncooked balatinao, unpolished heirloom rice. And then we have this uncooked polished white rice. And some people like to combine the white rice with malagkit or glutinous rice or sticky rice. Okay, we have a question here. Do we put the champorado pack in the pot before it boils or after it boils? Before it boils. So really just, dump everything in the pot and then just wait for it to boil. That's easy. You can cook it with a rice cooker. But with the rice cooker, since you can't adjust really the temperature of the rice cooker, so you just have to stir it occasionally. And when it's starting to boil, you just have to remove the lid so it doesn't make a mess.
Yeah. How often, Cess, do you stir it? Every few minutes, just so that it doesn't stick to the bottom?
Yeah, maybe every 5 minutes. Okay, the total cooking time of the balatinao is about 40 minutes, 40 to 45. If you've soaked it, maybe it would cook faster than that. So the slow cooking is very important in champorado. So the
I
nice
have a
thing here is
question.
that you just have to put there and then you can do whatever you want. Just make sure you keep it inside so you don't forget about it.
Hello, I have
Sige
a
po.
question.
Yes, go ahead po.
My name is Connie Herrera. I'm a member of the Markham Federation of Filipino-Canadians. Now, I have been cooking champurrado, but my procedure is after washing the rice, the white rice, I'll cook the rice first until it becomes, like durug-durug na.
Mhm.
I don't like to see the rice grain. I want it really parang lugaw. So when the rice is cooked, then that's the time I put, I use cocoa here. Like,
Yes, that's also good.
you don't have
The
to, yeah,
reason,
but I
what kind of
saw
chocolate do you use,
Mary
Connie?
Grace put the tablea right away. Why is that?
Oh, okay. Sometimes it depends on the chocolate that you're using. The tablea that we're using here is pure cacao tablea. And so it's grittier, nuttier. So it takes time for it to dissolve and create a creamy texture. But if you're using maybe a chocolate bar or a different type of tablea,
we don't have tablea here in Canada.
yes.
So we
So
just
you,
use
you can put it after it boils. Yes, if you're using chocolate bars. Okay, can we move to the next slide because we want to show them what other types of chocolate and cacao you can use. So yeah, if you're using tablea, you have to put the tablea together with the rice and the sugar. But if you're using baking chocolate or cocoa powder, maybe add it a little bit later. If that tip is kind of too late, sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because I was
think
thinking
it
it's
will,
going to evaporate. That's why I was
yes,
thinking
that's true.
the chocolate should be.
Thank you for the insight.
That's a good
Also,
insight.
I
Thank
want
you.
to show you my black glutinous rice that I bought here in Canada.
Oh, that's good to hear. Wow.
This is from Thailand.
Okay.
This one, this whole pack is 2 kilos.
That's good to hear. Thank you for sharing that with us. And that's good to know so that you have
And the
some
brand, I'm
options.
not promoting the brand, but if you are looking for it, the brand is Rooster. It's from Thailand. It's from Thailand.
Lovely. Thank you very much for sharing that, Miss Connie.
I need to what they call this, soak this overnight because it will take a long time for it to be soft. So
that's right.
Yeah, that's
I make
right.
keto out of these two. So when I make what we call this champurrado, I have to soak it overnight too.
Thank you for the tip, Miss Connie. That's very helpful for us so that we know these things when we are cooking champurrado. Yeah,
that's true. Sorry, may I get your name again, ma'am?
Connie.
Corey?
Connie Herrera.
Connie, hi.
You're talking
to
a senior. I'm a senior who is fond of cooking too. I'm a cook too.
Thank you very much,
I can tell. You sound just like my mom. Thank you very much.
Lovely. So while we're waiting for the champurrado to cook, we'll actually get started on our next
boiling
video
already.
As well. Oh, it's boiling already? Okay, perfect.
Yes. So I turned down the heat so that just simmer. So speaking of making a mess, I already did.
That's all a part of the cooking process. It's okay. While we're waiting for the next stage of the champurrado to cook, we've got our next video lined up about the mythological origins of rice, and this is one of the things that I'm so excited to learn about. We're going to hear about this folktale from the Cordillera Mountain region in northern Luzon. Let's play the next video.
The origin of rice. A legend of the Ibalois. In the early days, the people had pigs and other animals to eat, but they had no rice. Their vegetables were mostly kamotes and also gabi, natung, and pako. Now in those times, there lived a benevolent priest, or Mambunong, who had magical powers from Kabunian, the creator, who lives in the sky world. The name of this influential priest was Dakbongan, and he often thought about the poor food of the people. It came to pass, in the course of the seasons, that Dakbongan was called to the sky world to take part in the prayer rites at a great kanyao to be performed for Kabunian. Wherefore Dakbongan traveled for many days until he came to the top of Mount Pulag and then climbed the ladder standing there, thus passing into the sky world. There Dakbongan saw a magnificent house with many people gathered about, enjoying the kanyao. It was the home of Kabunian and Bugan, his beautiful wife. Now Dakbongan also greatly enjoyed the kanyao, especially eating the rice, of which he could not seem to get enough. The kindly Kabunian noticed his appetite for rice and asked him if he would like to take some back to earth. Of course, Dakbongan said yes. However, in order to have a good harvest, you must first perform the Kosday Kanyao to honor me, instructed Kabunian. All the fires in the village shall be extinguished. Then very early in the morning at each house, the Mambunong will perform the ceremony and shall receive fire from me by means of the kuliti, by rubbing a piece of bamboo across a split bamboo with punk in the opening. After the pig is killed, blood will be put on the faces of all the family. Following the Kosday Kanyao, there shall be a manpiju or rest period for 5 days. All of this must be done, said Kabunian. Dakbungan promised to obey all the instructions of Kabunian. Then, after placing the rice seeds carefully in his G-string, he returned to earth. There, he carefully made rice paddies and carried out all the instructions of Kabunian. He became a wealthy man, and all the people had rice. However, as time went on, the wealthy Dakbungan neglected to perform the Kosday Kanyao before the harvest and slighted Kabunian. Wherefore Kabunian created rats and sent them to eat down the rice. As Dakbungan was mourning over the destruction of his rice, he realized that he had not obeyed the command of Kabunian. So kindly Kabunian was compassionate and created cats and sent them to eat the rats. Now all the people performed the Kosday Kanyao before harvesting the rice.
Thank you very much again for everyone's patience with that video. I love learning about these stories. It just reminds me of how rich the cultural heritage connected to food is in different parts of the Philippines. So we'd like to move along to our next video, which is about how to cook rice, specifically the Filipino way. So let's go ahead and watch our next video. Okay, so
I can see some questions on the chat. Someone's asking what to do after boiling the the champorado, just wait for it to cook. So if you're using white rice, your champorado might cook earlier than what I have here because this is Balatinao. So you'll know when your champorado is cooked when the grains have bloomed or popped. So you'll see it's not the same shape anymore than when you first cook it. So there, and then the sauce, the liquid has been reduced and had been absorbed by the rice. And it becomes a little bit thicker and creamier. And then I think that's a time you can adjust the sweetness of your champorado. So you can try tasting it if the amount of chocolate and sugar is just right. So if you think it needs a little bit more, then feel free to add some more chocolate or sugar.
Thank you, Sess. And I just want to share another question too that came in the chat. So Roslyn is asking a question about the finger measure. Do you measure from the bottom of the pot or from the surface of the rice?
For cooking steamed rice,
Cooking steamed
from
rice.
the rice, from the edge,
From the bottom.
not from the bottom of the pot.
So from the top of the rice, and then you measure with your fingers.
Yeah, that's right. That's where you measure. Or better to use measuring cup if you're not comfortable using your fingers to measure. So here in the Philippines, or if you're a Filipino, the first thing you would want to learn is how to cook rice because you eat it 3 times a day or more. So you need to learn how to cook your own steamed rice, your own sinaing. And just some notes about pagsasaing. The kids here, I saw a couple of kids earlier. Do you guys know how to steam rice already? How old are you guys? The cute little girl making a heart. How old are you?
I'm 6 years old.
Oh, 6 years old, just like my daughter. I haven't taught her how to cook rice though. Would you try to cook steamed rice or champorado?
Yes.
Yay! Okay. So when I get home, I will teach my daughter how to cook sinaing.
That's great.
Okay.
And it's a classic because most Filipino dishes, I would say like all Filipino dishes, have a lot to do with ulam, which is the main dish that you would normally have with sinaing or the white rice. And it's such a classic thing for us to eat. So I guess like I know most of us in the audience have grown up in a Filipino household, very likely. But for those of you who are not that familiar with the word ulam, ulam is the viand, or it's usually the main dish, usually either a meat or a seafood or a vegetable that you would eat with the white rice, the sinaing. And that's really what makes it such a ingrained part of Filipino food culture and heritage. We always eat white rice.
Right. Just want to show you very quickly. When we were developing this program, we realized we have so many terms for rice and other related rice things.
Mhm.
So, okay, can we show the rice term slide? What do you guys know? So sinaing is very specific to cooking steamed rice. But then before it becomes rice, it's first palay. Palay muna siya, the grain with husks. Well, you know that already. So this is for those who don't know. But if there are words you can think of that are not here in this list, please share in the chat. So we have palay and then bigas, which is the uncooked, polished or semi-polished rice. And then when cooking steamed rice, so we have to take note if it's bago or luma when we're trying to measure the water. If it's bago or freshly harvested, then it will need less water. But if it's luma or laon, sometimes you can smell it. If it's luma, it's different. The smell of the bigas is different. So it will need more water. It's sometimes more fragrant when the bigas is bago. And then malagkit, glutinous rice is used for cooking different kakanin or rice cakes. And then sinaing for steamed rice, sinangag, bahaw, tutong. And then we call it malata if we added a little bit too much water sa sinaing. So there. Tatasha, can you think of other terms? I remembered the rice term earlier, but I forgot about it.
What's interesting about tutong is that I read this article some time ago, because tutong it's not just like tutong is the Tagalog word for that burnt rice. So if you cook your rice in a traditional like pot, like the one that we're cooking the champorado in right now, like usually it will form that crust at the bottom. But there's so many other cultures that also really love that part of cooking rice. In Persian cuisine, for example, and in a lot of East Asian cultures, they also really like that people will fight over that part because it's really crispy and nutty. So I just love that of the many different cultures. And again, especially in Toronto, because we're surrounded by so many different cultures and so many different kinds of food. It's just really interesting to hear that this is something that we share with other cultures too, and the different rice terms. But I think Filipino cuisine is very unique in that we have a different term for the stages of the rice, like when it's fresh from the field, when it's uncooked, when it's steamed, etc., etc.
That's true. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that, Nastasha. It's true. These are all just a Tagalog terms. So if you know other languages which have rice terms also, please feel free to share. Oops, wait.
All right.
Okay, so I removed the lid from the pot so that it helps reduce the liquid from the champorado. So anyway, I think we have another video coming up.
That's right.
So while this champorado is still simmering, well, please update on the chat what's happening with you guys. We have invited our foremost culinary historian, Ms. Feliz Prudente Santa Maria, to talk a little bit about our heirloom rice in champorado through a video. So we've split the material into two. This part we're going to show you is about heirloom rice balatinao, and then later we'll show you her talk on cacao.
It's always a pleasure to be part of Mama Sita's projects, especially this one, which honors heirloom rice. Rice is such an important component in Philippine culinary heritage and in food identity for us. Our ancestors believed that every single grain of rice had a soul. And because it had a soul, it had to be honored. Every grain had to be honored, had to be nurtured, had to be cared for. And it was wrong to waste rice then, just as it is wrong to waste rice today. The Balatino rice that comes in the champorado mix of Mama Sita is not an ordinary type of whole grain rice. It is grown in a little town called Cuco, which is in the Cordilleras in northern Luzon. It's a postcard perfect place for taking mountainscapes. It's a place where the mist envelops the visitors as well as the mountains. Very lovely place. And in Bauco, the Balatino is not just an eating rice. It is most important for making kapuy, what they call tape or rice wine. And rice wine is not something that they like just because it's for socializing, friends. No, it's not just the drinking of the rice wine. among friends and neighbors and visitors. It's very important as an offertory to the gods. Every step in the planting to the harvesting of rice has to have a ritual. And so the rice wine is important to every step of the way, every single ritual used. You know, in the Kankanay, they have a word, galinoknok. Galinoknok means to enjoy food to the level of a gastronome. So it's a hint, I think, that the gods to whom the balatinaw and the tapoy are given, that those gods have an Epicurean expectation of what's going to be in the offertory. So we benefit from that because the balatinaw rice is definitely of a godly quality. It's of the highest quality possible, and we get that in our champurrado.
And then I always love hearing from Miss Felice. And in this video, I love that there is a word for that gastronome in our indigenous languages. It really shows you that the rice is embedded so far back in our belief system and in the way that we interact and we live for centuries that those types of words are existing.
That's true. That's true. And so since Miss Felice brought us to the Cordilleras, so let's watch this next video.
Hi everybody, ako po si Carolina ng Ligan Dominong from Banawi, Ifugao. At ako ay isang staff sa Rice Terraces Farmers Cooperative at kami yung nagbebenta ng heirloom rice. Ang pag-aani ay magmula ng huling linggo ng Mayo hanggang sa first week ng Agosto. Ang imbitado po sa pag-aani ay yung mga manggagawa, kasama dito yung mga naghahakot ng palay. At meron din yung mga kapitbahay at yung tumutulong sa pagluluto ng pagkain. Ang pag-aani ay mano-manong paggupit sa rice stalks o palay. At ang mga gamit nila ay transverse knife. At meron ding bamboo strips o yung plastic straw. Yun yung ginagamit nila sa pagtali ng palay. At sa panahon noon ng aming ninuno ay merong rituals na ginaganap ng mga Mumbaki bago nila katayin yung baboy at yun ay iaalay nila sa goddess of harvest. Pero ngayon ay wala nang rituals kasi karamihan ay mga Kristiyano na. After harvest, kailangan nilang ilabas yung palay sa drying pavement for 3 to 4 times at depende ito sa init ng araw at bago nila ilagay sa kamalig. Pagkatapos nun kung gusto nilang magbayo, doon nila kukuhanin. Sa panahon noon ng aming mga ninuno, ay merong rituals na ginaganap ng mga Mumbaki. At bago katayin ang baboy, para ialay sa goddess of harvest. At ang significance nito ay pasasalamat. Pero ngayong panahon ay wala nang rituals dahil karamihan na ay Kristiyano. So ang ginagawa lang nila ay nagdadasal na lang sila sa mahal natin na Panginoon. Ang mga steps sa paggawa ng napakabango at masarap na pinipig ay number 1, mag-ani ng immature palay. Number 2 ay tanggalin ang mga butil ng palay mula sa tangkay nito gamit ang coconut shell kaya matrabaho ang pagtanggal. Number 3 ay ang pagsangag ng mga butil na ginii. Hahaluin hanggang may pumuputok-putok, pagkatapos niyan ay tahipan para malinis. At ang pang-apat ay ang pagbayo sa mga butil na sinangag na. Uulitin ang pagbayo at tahipan para matanggal ang ipadulot sa pagbayo. At yung huli ay pwede nang papakin o kainin.
Wow, I love learning about these things and learning about the communities that are still able to keep and to preserve these indigenous traditions, even though the times obviously have changed. And I actually want, I'm curious to know for some of the Filipinos, the younger folks maybe, if you go to the Philippines, when you drive around in the provinces or in the rural areas, sometimes you will see half of the road is closed because there's lots of palay or the unhusked rice just drying on the side of the road. So I'm just wondering if anybody else has seen that before, or who remembers seeing that from when they were younger in the Philippines, because it's such a reminder that it's still a very active part of our foodways. Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nastasia. And if you notice, it's really a bayanihan. It's literally bayanihan where, all the people in the community that's, near to the harvest or to the family of the farmer, they help in the harvesting and planting and in the harvesting. And hopefully next time we can show you the planting season also.
Yeah.
It's not too much of a trouble for our friends there to shoot. So anyway, guys, how is your champorado doing? Mine is already a little bit thick, and the grains have started to bloom. They're a little bit tender now. The soaking definitely helped. But this rice variety will not be as thick as your white rice champorado, because as I mentioned earlier, this is an unpolished rice. So it's just naturally glutinous as white becomes thick, but it won't be as malagkit or thick. But then as it gets cold, because you can also enjoy champorado cold. Have you tried that?
Yeah.
So as it gets cold, the water is absorbed by the grains, so it becomes thicker. Okay, so gosh, I'm already hungry.
I'm hungry too. I can't even smell what you're cooking, but
Have you guys had dinner already there in Canada? Or waiting for the session to finish so you can get dinner?
I'm gonna have
Okay,
to find
so I think we still have one more video to show. Another one from Felice on cacao.
When and by whom rice was first mixed with chocolate, that is a mystery that still needs to be solved. But what we are sure of is that it was the Spanish missionaries during the Reformation, during the late Renaissance, who first brought chocolate ready to be cooked into a beverage into the Philippines. See, they had to pray so many times a day, including early in the morning before sunrise, and they had to stay awake no matter how sleepy they were. And they found that chocolate kept them awake, which is one reason why they really wanted to have it as part of their bawang, as part of what they carried around during their missionary during their missionary work. Chocolate is actually, I think, the first ever caffeine added to the Filipino diet. Before that, we had nothing that had caffeine. The Spanish discovered chocolate in Mexico. It was the power drink of Montezuma, the last Mayan emperor. He drank his chocolate bitter. He drank it with chili pepper. But the Spanish decided they liked it another way. They preferred their beverage sweetened. And that's how we Filipinos like it as well. Very soon after its introduction into the Philippines, sometime between 1650 and 1700, trees began to grow all over. They started in the Visayas, in Camarines, and in Lipa, and then before we knew it was growing all over the Philippines. And Filipinos had developed that liking for a sweetened type of chocolate beverage, to the point that chocolate in Manila was peddled. People went around, vendors went around selling chocolate, and you could have it as chocolate con agua, chocolate with water, or you could have it as chocolate con leche, chocolate with milk, which is still the way that you order it in Mexico. The chocolate was such an important Spanish beverage, it was part of their identity, that every single galleon served chocolate on its voyage. In Mexico, one can order champurrado. They spell it with a double R, and they have that Spanish trill. And champurrado is atole with chocolate. Atole is a comfort food for Mexicans. It's ancient. It comes out of the Mesoamerican culture. And it's corn mush that is turned into a beverage with the addition of water. You can have atole that is a thin liquid, or you can have atole that is a thick liquid, and it comes in a cup or in a beverage glass. Champurrar in Spanish means speaking with many languages. You speak, and you don't just, let's say, speak in Castilian. You add all sorts of other languages, maybe a little bit of Filipino and Mexican terms. So it's a mix. That is what champurrar means. It also means the mixing of different alcoholic beverages. So maybe that is how champurrar was applied to atole plus chocolate to make that new meaning for the word champurrado. But really, we wonder, how long has atole been mixed with chocolate? We know that cacao is a very ancient Mesoamerican botanical and a very ancient Mesoamerican food. Well, in the Yucatan, where Mayan culture is still visible and still tasteable, they have what they call tanchqua. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, but tanchqua is precisely atole plus chocolate. As to how old the word tanchqua is, that is still something that Mexican food historians are trying to find out. Mama Sita's champurrado, made out of that very precious Balatina rice and heirloom cacao from Davao. It's very special. It's a very special type of champurrado. I guess every time we take a spoonful of it, we can remember that this is the cacao that was once in the power drink of the last Mayan emperor. This is the chocolate that used to be served on the galleons that plied Manila, Acapulco, and it also crossed the Atlantic. I mean, this is an important beverage at that time. And we also know that champurrado, Philippine champurrado, is one of the first ways that we got our caffeine kick. So always remember that there is history in every dish and a story in every bite.
That. Just to let you know, my champorado is cooked. Can I have a look at your champorado? Okay, so we're like very close to the to 9 o'clock. I was beginning to be nervous. It's not going to be cooked before 9 o'clock. Anyway, this is our Balatinao champorado. Sorry, Nastasia. I wish you're having this with me. Okay, so there you go.
Wow, looks.
So on screen, it looks a little bit watery, but actually it's already thick and the rice is cooked already. And then I'm going to have some dilis. I cracked it a bit.
So again, that's the little dried fish. I wish that was really easy to find in Canada, but that's kind of difficult and hard to cook, especially if you live in an apartment or condo, which most of us have.
But you know, dilis doesn't have as a strong aroma as tuyo. So maybe if you can find dilis or other types of dried fish. Matthew, can you show the slide on salted dried fish just to show the kids and those who are not familiar with salted dried fish?
Oh, the different kinds of salted dried fish, yeah.
Yeah, just some that we were able to find in the market.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can have your champorado with, like me, dried fish, if you were able to find dried fish, or fresh milk or evaporated milk, or like as someone suggested, the coconut milk, which is traditionally enjoyed in Bicol. I'm going to eat now.
Wow, that looks really good. So thank you for that. And yes, as Sas mentioned, we're going to share the video for cacao in the Facebook group and to follow up because it's a really great segment from Miss Felice. And just a reminder that, yeah, the cacao is also a big part of Philippine food culture. So with that, and as we reach the end of our program, we want to share with you something that we're going to call homework, but don't be alarmed. It's not a test.
Yeah, this is just to encourage you to join again the next session.
Yeah, exactly.
And join our Facebook group.
And to join our Facebook group. And you can win a prize if you join our homework game. So this one is called Jazz Up Your Adobo Rice. So I guess just for me, like my family, we have this thing called tira special or leftover special. And I make that maybe once a week because I always have some stuff in the fridge. And usually I have chicken adobo also. So I just chop it up and then I put it with my fried rice. So what we want to do is we want to see your versions of adobo rice with whatever kind of vegetable or meats you want to cook your adobo with. So we invite you to take a photo of it and send it to us and then include a short write-up about what you did to make your adobo rice. And the most creative and delicious version will get a prize from us, from the Mama Sita Foundation. So you can send that to mga Kwentong Pagkain at msita.com. We're going to put that email address in the chat here. And yeah, we hope that when you join us again for the next session, we're going to announce who's the winner for this adobo rice homework.
Right. So, Nastasia, we still have a couple of minutes to do a game.
Yeah, let's do the game. I'm excited.
Bring me, right?
Hopefully, most people
play
know
a little bring me game. So this is to encourage everybody to show your cucina. Okay, so it's difficult to monitor you all guys because we can't see your videos, so we won't know until you share a screenshot. So Nastasia is going to mention some cucina items. Okay, Go ahead, Nastasha. Next slide, please, Mate.
Okay, so the idea for Bring Me, for those who are not familiar, it's like a party game. We will say the name of like something, so something that's in your kitchen, and if you have it, you can go and get it and then take a screenshot of it, or you can unmute yourself and show it to us in the camera. So the first thing that we're going to see if you can bring us is, let's go to the next slide.
Drum roll.
Drum roll. We want to see who has cuchara at tenedor. Does anyone have cuchara tenedor? And if you can bring that and then unmute yourself and show it to us on the chat. Yay, Georgina Ramjas. Thank you so much. Okay, so we got one person with the cuchara tenedor. Okay, so the next one we have, if we can get the next slide up, is kawali. Does anybody have an actual kawali in their kitchen right now?
Just cook something.
Kawali.
Ayun.
Kawali.
Oh, there's a few. Okay, so I see you, Froilan, and a few other people. Okay, so yeah, what's the next one? So the next Bring Me item we have is sandok. Who is familiar with sandok? Who has a sandok nearby?
Sandok.
Sandok. Oh, there you go. I saw somebody has there. Thank you.
Sandok.
Susie, thank you. Perfect. Galene, we have lots of involvement. I'm happy. Okay, next one is, this is going to be a little more difficult. Shanse.
What's that?
Who has a shanse? Let's go to the next slide. We have a picture of it for those who are not familiar. If we can go to the next slide, please. So shanse, this is what the shanse is called. And honestly, I didn't even remember this right away. But I know we had this in my house. Not exactly, Susie. Like it's
I don't have that. I only use this one.
close enough. It's pretty close.
How about this?
The one? No?
Not exactly. Yan yung, that's the kind that I have. Thank you, Teresita.
We have bamboo.
Yeah, the wooden ones. There
This
has
is my fiancé.
Oh, Miss Connie also has one. Yeah. Thank you.
I have one too.
Wow, Miss Esther. Okay. Oh, this is exciting. We have a well-stocked Filipino kitchen. I'm happy.
I have this
Oh,
a
who is
spatula.
that?
A spatula.
Spatula. Thank you. Yes. To our youngest kitchen chef today. Thank you, Jean. I think that was your name. Okay, let's go to the next one. So we'll do just two more. This one's also going to be difficult. Does anybody have palayok? As in,
Oh, wala ako yan.
Wala yan.
This is mine. That's made of clay, isn't it?
Don't use that here in Canada.
It's
yeah,
made
exactly.
of clay.
It's made of clay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've been looking for one.
Nabasag yung sa akin.
Meron ako
We have
paso.
one?
So,
Meron ako paso.
Ito ba
so
yun?
we should ask. Sana kung, I hope if there was some clay pottery around
I
Toronto.
actually have one, but I put garlic in it.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not palayo.
It's not
But
palayok.
it's like a palayo.
Yeah.
It's a clay pot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try one more. Last one. This one I actually have in my house. Does anyone have almires? Or
Yes.
This
is what I have in my
house.
I don't understand.
I gave it to my daughter. The marble one.
It's being passed along. That's good. If it gets
Yeah.
passed along to the rest of your family, that's what we want. It also means that it's long lasting, right? I have a marble one in the house. And
Yeah, she needed more than I just found it.
Yeah.
Almires.
Yeah.
Almires,
There you
yeah.
go. That's almires.
Yeah, perfect.
See,
Made of plastic.
this is me.
Plastic.
I have.
Jonah, yeah, thank you.
Sure,
I see
she didn't
that
even
also.
look
Thank you,
herself.
Jonah. Perfect.
Hello. Hello, this is what I have.
Yeah.
Miss Naomi.
Mine looks the same.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a few kitchen implements there. You also have the big cleaver, which is nice. I see
Yeah.
Patty has a wooden
I
one,
don't have masher.
and Jean also has one.
I have
Yay!
one. I have one. Sunat Perignon.
Okay, so the last one that we have, because we're talking about, rice and chocolate today, by any chance, does anybody have a chocolatera? And we'll show the picture in the next slide.
Which one?
What is chocolate?
No,
Chocolatera.
we don't use that here.
Oh, nice.
Chocolatera.
Yeah, you do like that.
Chocolate.
You rub it between your hands, and then
Yes.
if you in classic literature, like for example, No Limitangere, there's a very famous scene that has to do with hot chocolate or tablea and cacao being served to the friars in the fraile. That's always what I remember when I think of chocolatera, because
Yeah.
it's about like how you prepare tablea the native way. Yeah, so thank you everybody for joining our Bring Me game. So excited to see a lot of people have a well-stocked kitchen. What do you think about that, Ses? Galing, no? We have so many things in Toronto.
About what?
Even that palayok we have in Toronto, sold by Chinese.
Yeah, maybe in like Chinatown, there might be a few
yeah.
there. Or
But
even
not
in
this one, but not the chocolate pear. You call that?
Chocolatera.
Chocolatera.
This one's a little bit harder to
I
find.
haven't seen that.
All right. Well, thank you again very much for participating, everyone, for us today. So someone was asking about the due date for the homework. So that's going to be due on our next meeting, which is actually what we want to end this program with. So we're just a few minutes over time. But again, we want to say thank you very much to everybody who participated and joined us for this evening. We've now reached the end of our first session of Mga Kwentong Pagkain Cook-Along. And we hope that you can all join us again in 2 weeks at the same time. It's going to be 7:30 p.m. On August 6th in Toronto. That's another Friday. It's going to be 7:30 a.m. August 7th in the Philippines. And in our next class, we're going to be talking about food that our ancestors ate. So if you really enjoyed learning about the indigenous cultures and histories of rice today, please join us for the next session, because we're going to talk a lot more about ancient foods that were eaten in the Philippines. And also, of course, we're going to cook along with some other great recipes, so you'll get to learn how to cook some more dishes. So please don't forget to register for the next session. You're going to see the link here in the slides. And also follow the Philippine Consulate in Toronto on Facebook and the Mama Sita Foundation as well. You can look those up and like their page so that you can receive updates on the following sessions as well as any future events. Again, check your email for that. And yeah, I believe that is the end of our program this evening. We really look forward to having you again next time. Again, maraming salamat po from Toronto. And if Ses is still there, we will also say goodbye from the Philippines tonight. Do we have Miss Ses there? Okay. Thank you very much for everybody. We hope to see you again next week or in 2 weeks.